Well, good morning, everyone. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our governor of the state of New Jersey, Governor Murphy, state elected officials, DOE Commissioner Kevin Damer, Superintendent Rashawn Hassan, BOE members, as well as Sandra Clark, teachers and administrators. I welcome all of you here this morning to this bill signing. It is so refreshing to know that we have a governor who never hesitates to come to your municipality. And the governor has been here on several different occasions, making different announcements, bringing resources to our school district and to our municipality. And so we appreciate him for that. Early childhood education is the foundation upon which everything else is built. And if we are to compete and if we are to provide all that we can to our young people, we have to put structures in place to facilitate that. And so these bills this morning are a step in the right direction that will help us advance the cause of early childhood education. And I would be remiss, given the events of the last few days, if I didn't thank the governor and his staff for all the support they provided to Plainfield during the recent storm that wreaked havoc across our entire city. And so, Governor, we thank you and we appreciate you. And with that, I now introduce Governor Murphy to the city of Plainfield and to all in attendance.
Good morning, everybody. It is a real treat to be here. It is such an honor to be here at the Plainfield Early Learning Center. More on that in a moment. A beautiful state-of-the-art facility that truly embodies our commitment, our collective commitment to providing the best possible education to every child in New Jersey. And we have a handful of them right here that will attest to that. In a moment, I'll be signing some legislation into law that will make early childhood education more affordable and more accessible for more families and children up and down our state. But before we make it official, I want to thank our hosts for the day, including two folks in particular. First up is Sandra Clark, who has led this facility and served families and children in the Plainfield area for decades. Sandra, thank you for everything you've done. Along with the exceptional mayor of Plainfield, who you just heard from. Let's hear it one more time from Mayor Adrian Mapp. I not only thank you, Mayor, for your hospitality, but especially, as you mentioned, as the city continues to recover from the storm on the evening of July 3rd. Please know that our hearts and prayers and thoughts are with you, and we remain committed to supporting Plainfield at every step of the way. This storm was brutal, as you probably know, even if you don't live in Plainfield or North Plainfield or Dunellen or some other communities that were absolutely crushed, including with fatalities. So please keep all those families and loved ones in your prayers as they recover. I also want to give a shout out again to Superintendent Rashawn Hassan, to all the educators, administrators, other members of staff, especially these precious children in our front row. I also want to thank members of our state legislature who have played an incredibly important role in getting this legislative package across the finish line. You'll hear from three of them: Senate Majority Leader Senator Teresa Ruiz, Assemblywoman Andrea Katz, who's here with one of her daughters, and Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson are all with us today. Let's hear it for those three speakers. We also have Jim Kennedy, Linda Carter, Carmen Morales, Sterling Stanley with us, also from the legislature. If everyone behaves themselves, we'll get you a pen at the end of this. Jim, I'm looking at you. Christine Norbert Beyer as well, Commissioner, is with us. Thank you, Christine, for being here and everything that you do. And I'm also, in addition to Christine, thankful generally to colleagues in our administration, and you will hear from one of them, her colleague, the Commissioner of the Department of Education, Kevin Damer, whose steady leadership and deep commitment to New Jersey students helped make this bill signing a possibility. And again, most importantly, to our precious young learners, all the members of the Board of Education and other dignitaries with us. It is thanks to everyone mentioned, including some others who could not be with us, that we are moving forward in making free universal pre-K as well as free full-day K, or kindergarten, a reality in every corner of New Jersey. With these bills, we're going to make it significantly easier to replicate the success that we've seen right here in Plainfield, because the Plainfield Early Learning Center offers a perfect example of the immense potential for the collaborative, mixed-use delivery of pre-K in school districts all across New Jersey. Looking around this phenomenal facility, you can see firsthand exactly why investing in early childhood education is so important. Each one of the classrooms in this learning center is built to serve young students of all backgrounds and of all needs. And just about everywhere you look, you will find thoughtful details that have been designed with care, a lot of them, if not all of them, by Sandra herself, including the main hallway, which features an orange brick road that students can walk along as they make their way to the classroom. I think that's only fitting, because the legislative package we're celebrating today will help communities all across New Jersey follow a figurative orange brick road to affordable, accessible, and high-quality early childhood education. Altogether, these pieces of legislation will codify our state's commitment to funding universal pre-K in the long term and bring free full-day kindergarten to the small handful of districts that still lack it. I believe 10, Kevin? 10 in the state. So we've got over 600 of them, so we're almost there, folks. And importantly, as we sign this legislative package into law today, a parallel effort to align standards is already underway, making it easier for providers in the both public and private sector to work together in expanding access to early childhood education. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that under our administration, the number of school districts offering free full-day pre-K has increased by more than 350%. And with the shamelessly fishing for applause up here. And with the steps we are taking today, we're going to ensure that every parent in New Jersey will eventually be able to enroll their child in a high-quality pre-K program at no additional cost. And let's remember, this is not just an educational investment. It is also an economic investment. One in the near term or immediate term, and the other one is in the longer term. Because in the immediate term, we will save every parent money by offering them a free, safe, and enriching place to send their child during the workday, whether it be universal pre-K or full-day K. And secondly, every educational study will tell you that for every dollar invested in early childhood education over the life of that precious child, you earn back somewhere in an economic benefit in that person's life between $7 and $10. So it's the smart thing to do in every respect. That's exactly what it means to preserve our state's reputation as the best place anywhere in America to raise a family. And there is a simple reason why expanding early childhood education has been one of my highest priorities during our time as governor. And I've shared that, I might add, with our legislative leaders. These bills don't get to my desk to sign unless they get shepherded through the legislature. And we've got some outstanding folks here who do just that with us today. It is because the very future of our state, our economy, our workforce, our quality of life, you name it, hinges on the health, success, and well-being of our children. The young students who roam these halls, several of whom are with us today at the Plainfield Early Learning Center and other locations like it all across our state, will help shape the future of our state for years, decades to come. And as leaders, we owe it to them, as well as to their families, to offer them the best early childhood education in the entire nation, period. With the legislation we'll sign into law in a few moments, that is a promise we intend to live up to. So to each and every one of the leaders with us today, deep, deep thanks. It is now my pleasure to introduce one of the greatest champions for New Jersey's children, a dear friend and our valiant Senate Majority Leader. Please help me welcome Senator Teresa Ruiz.
Good morning, everyone. The governor said looking for shameless applause. I started the applause. That is not shameless. When an administration grows 350%, and that is equivalent to having a child in a seat at a high-quality preschool, defraying the cost of that families, that deserves 10 times another round of applause for this administration. To Mayor Mapp, thank you for welcoming us here to your Department of Public Works and the state. I drove right in. There wasn't any indication of anything, so thank you for your public service. To the families who experienced loss during this time, our prayers are with you. To the Commissioner of Education, who I know that the first time I said this, I think people caught whiplash. My relationship with commissioners of education over my last 18 years have been dramatic sometimes. In this case, I keep saying Commissioner Deemer has been an extraordinary force in the short time that he was placed in that leadership role, understanding that he has this window of putting our children first and has not stopped. And so a debt of gratitude to you, and even welcoming an infant during this time frame into his household. To my Assembly legislative colleagues, thank you for your fortitude in understanding that your public service is not steeped in your elected title, but understanding that this is the cornerstone of what we do, making sure that policy cements an opportunity for future generations to fulfill their God-given commitment, regardless as to their zip code and what their family circumstances are. My connection to early childhood was clearly in the classroom after I graduated school, and this predates the Abbott decision. So I was not a certified teacher, but I was a learning instructor in a child development center. And it was 4-year-olds. And I quickly understood then that there were several things. We were shortchanging our children in ways that you can never measure because of my inability to teach them a million more things. Because I knew that if I could teach them Mandarin or geometry or other things, that they would resonate and pick it up. And so you understood immediately, and this is before I was a mother, that the brain of an infant into their toddler system is really a malleable plastic, and the more that we pour into them, the greater their outcomes can be. And so I learned that inside of the classroom. And I learned multiple things from students in those spaces and from families. Timing, wraparound services. Can you afford to send them to a high quality area? Fast forward to the courts telling the state of New Jersey we're not doing enough to move the equity structure, and they set the Abbott decision and mandated the state to grow this infrastructure of preschool programs that really put us on a national map. Anyone who's in this space and travels, that is one clear thing in our ed system that has always been highlighted before this administration took the opportunity to expand, that they recognize that preschool program that we grew. So this is work that we can do. You can grow the employee base. You can connect with private providers. You can work with the public school infrastructure to ultimately create this infrastructure that provides families an opportunity to defray costs, that gives children a true running start before they enter kindergarten, and that really moves our system forward from a zero to taxpayer base. Our responsibility is not done until we develop a true New Jersey taxpayer in every sense of the word. And so to me, it always is in the cornerstone of education. The importance of this legislation is just to be sure that long after we're all gone, that the work that this administration, along with the legislature, has been doing is in statute. So that if anybody comes in and thinks that this is babysitting or a waste of money, that we don't have to repeat ourselves over and over again, that the return on investment in early childhood supersedes any stock market revenue that you can. For every dollar, you get back anything from 9 to 13 back. You reduce the cost of early intervention. You create a seamless transition from preschool 4 into kindergarten. And if you know a kindergarten teacher, that's an extraordinary lift of a burden that you have removed from her in her classroom when she has perhaps 30 plus school students and has to focus more on growth instead of remediation. That when you think about early childhood, it costs more than state tuition at Rutgers University, although they raised the rates, so I got to see what's relative these days. And that it's a space where you can't take out loans the way you do for college. And so women are making decisions. Do I take time off because literally my check is going to go out the door to a private provider? Or do I remain in the career workforce and grow my household structure in that way while my child is in a setting? But most importantly, to know above all of that is that to see a child walk in the first day. Are there any preschool teachers in the classroom here? No. Okay. So, but some of you will know this. First day of school, they get dropped off. This is the frame of the door. And the kids are just screaming. And they don't want to leave. And then you see the shift in the classroom. And you see them wanting to come in. Or the child that doesn't speak one word of English. First day of school. And all of a sudden, it's circle time, and you ask a question, and 2 months later, the child responds to you in English. I know this because I saw it. And it is not a miracle of life. It is common sense, good policy investment. And so I am so grateful to this governor who has understood this, who has made a commitment not by words, with action. When I first represented Belleville Township, and this was at the start of really moving universal preschool in its expansion, students in Belleville, only 12% of them were enrolled in a half-day program. When I left because of redistricting, 90% of students in Belleville, and this is a 2019 stat, so I'm sure it has grown, are now currently enrolled in a full-day preschool program. Just going to show that New Jersey knows how to do it. New Jersey gets it right, and this is a space that we should all be proud of. To my staff, Erica, Laura, all of the people who are in here, Ashleen, who's away on a conference, we come up with the ideas, they put the pencils to work. To the private providers who are in the room, who their efforts, I'm missing people, right? Who? Aaliyah, yes, Leah, in my office, and I lost my train of thought. Either way, a lot of moving pieces in this bill. And the Department of Education was extraordinary at every turn of that. And so I just want to say it is a big win for us here. And most importantly, as we come to the end of an administration, we know that the preschool program in New Jersey, as established, will be safe and secured for generations to come. So congratulations.
I'd say two things in underscoring what you just heard from Teresa. Number one, her personal experience at every step of the way over the past 7.5 years has been a big deal for me personally. I know for Kevin. Kevin's the commissioner, but he was the acting commissioner during the deep, darkest days of COVID, so he's not new to this space. But your personal experience, Senator, has been extraordinary. And the second big point, which needs to be underscored, is part of the reason we're gathering today to sign this. A big motivating reason behind one of these bills in particular is up until now, this has been in budget language. This has been an agreement between legislators and my team and Kevin and his team. This will now put pre-K into statute, or as we've been saying lately, into cement, so that future generations won't have to rely on, gosh, I hope we've got the right governor, or I hope we've got the right legislature. This will be accepted in law practice in New Jersey, which is a big reason why we're here. Thank you, Senator. We got a couple of outstanding members of the Assembly speaking on behalf of their outstanding colleagues. Please help me welcome from the 8th Legislative District, the one and only Andrea Katz.
Good morning. Actually, there are a couple Andrea Katzes, which is the funny part here. But thank you, Governor Murphy, for recognizing that we do need to cement this program. Many families are relying on this to go to school, to go to work, just for their day-to-day lives, and you've recognized that importance. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Ruiz, for your leadership in balancing the many interests that we had as we went from introduction to today. Your leadership was very important. Thank you. Thank you to the Commissioner for ensuring that your department will be able to implement this for many, many years to come. Also to all of our staff, because as the Senator said, you guys are the ones who do all the work. We're the ones that get to just stand in front of the microphone and get the applause, but it's you guys who make it happen. Thank you. Especially to these very young ladies sitting here who are doing a fantastic job. Great job, girls. My kids were never that quiet at that age, right, Molly? But my oldest is now 18, and he is going to college in the fall. And I will tell you that finding a college for Nathan was a whole lot easier than finding a preschool. At the time, I was a stay-at-home mom, mostly by choice, but also the economics of sending a child to preschool, childcare, was very expensive. I had 3 of them within 4 years. That's pretty expensive. So finding a program that was going to be enriching, that was going to meet our budgetary needs was very challenging. I would get myself on wait lists so that I could find that part-time program that would fit both our economics realities and his schedule. And it was very, very difficult. Luckily, when my middle daughter, who is now 16, was ready for preschool, there was an open spot in the Chesterfield Elementary Preschool program. They would service the students who needed early intervention, and they had a few spots for general ed kids to be able to pay tuition. It was reasonably priced, $300 a month, but it was only 2.5 hours a day. And I don't know any jobs that give you that flexibility. So when I took a full-time job for about a year, I needed to find another preschool for her to figure that out, to balance that schedule. But by the time my youngest, Molly, here went to preschool, I was able to send her to both the 3- and the 4-year program at Chesterfield. I was able to make that 2.5-hour schedule work. But a lot of families cannot do that. Not if you have a job and not if you have a lot of responsibilities. That is difficult. It was difficult for me as a stay-at-home mom to manage. Pre-K is one of the best things that we can offer as a state. It gives a start on learning important skills, and it gives family access to quality free childcare so that they can make a decision for what fits best for their family. As a mom, I know that this would have absolutely been a game changer for me and my family. When pre-K expansion started, it was only in a few districts, and that meant that places like Chesterfield and a lot of other towns were left behind. Now, because of this law, families across the state in all communities, including Chesterfield, will have access to this very important program. And we all know that the most important issue facing our state is affordability, and pre-K is going to make a huge difference in so many families' lives. So thank you so much for this. We're going to have this here to stay for New Jersey families, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out. Thank you to everyone who has helped to make this a reality. This is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, and we've even learned how to do nap time, too, in the middle if she's fallen asleep. But I was kind of entertaining, right? Okay, well, we'll move this along for you. Thank you, everybody.
Andrea, get used to it. Nap time happens in my events all the time. So, Andrea, thank you. And thank you for sharing your personal story. I remember my early days as governor with a lot of interactions with you and your buddies in Chesterfield. So I'm glad we've broken to a different place. Molly, great to have you here. Please give your siblings our very best. And we got one more member of the Assembly speaking on behalf of the extraordinary group here today. Please help me welcome Trenton's own Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson.
I was saying I miss the governor too. Haven't seen him in a little while, but we've been both very, very busy. I feel like a protocol has been established here, and thanking the governor and thanking Senator Ruiz. I also want to thank our Assemblywoman Linda Carter and Assemblywoman Carmen Morales and Assemblyman Sterling Stanley for their work as well. And to our superintendents that are in the room and all of your staff, it's really, really important that we all see what good government looks like. And we've heard this over and over again, from the local level to the county level to the state level, and how important access here for preschool is. And Governor, you said it was 350% increase. I don't know about you, but I got chills thinking about that. I think about education and access. Where I come from, it's always a fight because there's not enough seats. And people want to start a business. They want to be able to do good business. They want to be able to plan for long terms. And the bill that we're championing here today that the governor is going to sign is A5780. And what that does, it takes the contracts from a 1-year to a 3-year. Now, you put your fiscal hat on. It's hard enough for me to budget from year to year, but as a business, as an entrepreneur, it's extremely hard. And so I think at this point, we've listened to our providers. We hear them, and this is how government is reacting. We're making it so that they can plan out for a 3-year fiscal year versus a 1-year. And so what does that mean? We get more little people. They get more access to education, and I think that is something to celebrate. So, Governor, I thank you for having us here today. I thank all of our partners that are in the room, and I look forward to continuing doing work as the chair of the Education Committee. Thank you so much.
Verlina, thank you for everything you do on this topic and on so many others. You know, we are a hot state right now. I'm knocking on wood that it stays that way. We right now have more people employed than ever before, more businesses in operation than ever before, and most importantly, given why we're here today, more people living in this state than ever before. And it turns out that the existence of pre-K, and especially full-day pre-K, has been a huge magnet for families or couples when they're on the cusp of having children. And that's been great for those communities and would increase that number of communities dramatically. But it is still one community versus another. In other words, when folks think about where they want to buy their home, this is a factor on their list in town X versus town Y. What this bill will ultimately do is it will make sure that you won't have that as a factor on your list because every community in the state will provide it. And that's a huge driving, animating reason for why we've been pursuing this so aggressively with our great leaders in the legislature. Last but not least, as I mentioned, it's his second time overseeing and running the Department of Education. The first time was in an acting capacity in some of the darkest days our state has known in the past century. He's back. He's doing an incredible job. Please help me welcome the Commissioner of the Department of Education, Kevin Damer.
Good morning, everyone. Governor, it's an honor to join you every time. And while each bill signing represents an opportunity to make vital improvements to New Jersey schools, today marks a particularly important milestone. The framework for this bill package was announced way back in January, but the policies and values being codified here today go back to the earliest days of this administration, emphasizing that access to high-quality preschool is pivotal to making New Jersey the best place to raise a family. And I'm honored to be with you all here today as we take this momentous step to cement New Jersey's commitment to families. So many individuals have been instrumental in making this event possible, and none more than Majority Leader Ruiz. And beyond sponsoring these bills, she's been a tireless advocate for New Jersey's youngest learners. And thank you to the Majority Leader and all the legislative sponsors, Senator Turner, Assemblywoman Katz, Assemblyman Stanley, Assemblywoman Reynolds-Jackson, and all the legislative leaders here today. It took all of you to make this a reality. I also want to call out Neer at Rutgers, who is there for years and years along the way, helping us plan this out. And finally, to our hosts, Mayor Mapp and Superintendent Hassan, And Director Sandra Clark, thank you for all that you do and for inviting us in today. As a former Abbott district, Plainfield is where New Jersey's state-funded preschool program began more than 25 years ago. Since its inception, the Abbott preschool model has been a national benchmark because of its focus on quality, equity, and community partnership. Each year, we've seen how this has had a lasting impact on our students, our families, and their communities. Building on that foundation, Governor Murphy's Preschool Education Aid initiative has expanded preschool to 229 new school districts. That's created more than 20,000 new seats. All told, New Jersey is now serving roughly 80,000 full-day preschool students in more than half of our elementary school districts. On top of the record $1.3 billion allocated to preschool education aid in the fiscal year 2026 budget, we've dedicated $10 million for further expansion. And through a new pilot program, we're going to try to stretch those dollars even further. We'll continue expanding high-quality models in new districts this year. Even better, I can now announce that the grant program for those districts will be available on our website later today. Today's bill also incorporates decades of early childhood education insight by prioritizing access to low-income students, promoting collaboration with established community partners, and enabling flexible multi-year contracting, all while expanding access to full-day kindergarten. These measures not only set a clear direction for the coming years, but set our state apart. And really, New Jersey is unrivaled. Our state's level of support ranks among the highest nationwide, with our preschools providing full-day programs both to 3- and 4-year-olds. These programs feature small class sizes, they're led by highly qualified instructors, and offer curriculum support, ongoing professional development, and specialized accommodations for students with special needs. Simply put, other states trail the New Jersey model, while we will further enhance these through today's legislation. For the last 8 years, our commitment has been clear: to provide crucial access to high-quality preschool to our youngest learners while providing relief to New Jersey's working families. Today, we take the next step in expanding the opportunity to every community and family in our state. The leaders in this room made it possible, and this also would not be possible without the hard work of educators and stakeholders all across the state that have shown that the New Jersey model works. So once again, thank you to all of you for your leadership.
Kevin, thank you. Kevin mentioned that the grant applications will be online later today, and information, nj.gov/education. nj.gov/education. As they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. Let's sign these things. Come on down. Come on in.
Yes, she is.
All right. Okay, this is the money shot. I'm taking my glasses off. I can't see a thing, but everyone tells me I should do this. Okay. First up is Senate Bill 3910, synopsis is, makes various changes to, it's so dull, the synopsis, so dull. Makes various changes to provision of preschool aid and facilities requirements, establishes universal preschool implementation steering committee, and requires full-day kindergarten in all school districts. Sponsored by the Majority Leader, Senator Ruiz, also Senator Turner. I want to give her a shout-out in absentia, and in the Assembly, the aforementioned, we heard from her, Andrea Katz, and by the one and only Shirley Stanley. So that's it, and along with a great team of colleagues. So today is night, right? First pen goes to our host mayor, Mayor Adrian Mack, for the great community. To the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Teresa Ruiz. Assemblywoman Andrea Katz. Congratulations. Commissioner Kevin Damer. Kevin. I thought you blew me off there. Assemblyman Shirley Stanley. I mentioned our host mayor, but our actual host, let's hear it for the one and only CEO of the Black United Health Fund, the one and only Sandra Clark. We overuse this word, but it's true. She is a legend. Let's hear it for the superintendent of Plainfield Public Schools, Rashan Hassan. Okay, I'm holding back. Bear with me 1 second, everybody. Yeah, that would be a little aggressive, but thank you. I want to give a pen to my friend Assemblyman Jim Kennedy. Jim, where are you, buddy? Okay. Jim, can I have that one back? I didn't finish stuff on here. There we go. Okay, that one is now the law of the land. We can celebrate that in a moment. Okay, now we're going to consider or sign Senate Bill 4476. Again, the riveting synopsis permits awarding of contracts for certain preschool education services by resolution of Board of Education. It extends maximum length of preschool education services contracts to 3 years, which is a very, very important new step. So with that, here we go. We just heard from her a moment ago. Let's hear it for Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson. She knows a thing or two about Plainfield. Let's hear it for Assemblywoman Linda Carter. Her colleague, another outstanding leader, Assemblywoman Carmen Morales. Fellow Commissioner of the Department of Children and Families, I mentioned her earlier, outstanding leader, Christine Norberfire. Alexandra, how do I pronounce your name? Fieras. Alexandra Fierce-Daniel, who's the bilingual ECE Senior Policy Specialist at the National Institute for Early Education Research. Did I get that right? And I said when I saw her today, Elsa Jacobson, who's the Director of State Policy and Government Relations for Early Care and Education Consortium. Elsa is the one that raised with me, I think, both the 1 versus 3 year contract arrangement and separately the coordination of space requirements, which were in different places within our administration, and we solved both with this bill. So let's hear it for Elsa Jacobson. Elsa? I got, that's now also the law of the land. I've got one more presentation to make. Each of these young ladies. Official filmmaking. Years from now, these will be priceless. God bless you. Say this, and it gives me great pride, I know on behalf of everybody up here, that these bills are now the law of the land of New Jersey. Well done, everybody. Nathan, don't lose these. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Go Plainfield. Thank you. Sorry, Molly.